It's the fourth day of the 8-day Amgen Tour of California, and this man, Peter Sagan, has set an amazing trend by winning every stage so far. Can he defend his yellow jersey, or will this man, Heinrich Hausler, finally convert his 3 second places into a win on the longest stage of the race? It's next. Yesterday, young Slovak Peter Sagan sprinted to his 3rd straight win in as many days in the Amgen Tour of California. His sprinting has found no equal. So will the 6 climbs between Sonora and Clovis break the spirit of the 22-year-old race leader as Stage 4 is underway, next on the NBC Sports Network. It's Stage 4 of the Amgen Tour of California today, the longest day as we wave farewell to Sonora and we head down to Clovis, a massive ride of 130 miles brought to you today by Amgen Breakaway from Cancer. The beautiful old town of Clovis is ready to welcome the riders. Everybody here for the moment, walking around the Lifestyle Festival. In about 2 hours' time, they'll be right here with us on the finishing line. Hello everybody, welcome back to our coverage of the Amgen Tour of California. I'm Phil Liggett, alongside me is Paul Schoen. The question even the riders are asking now is, Paul, can anybody beat Peter Sagan?
He has turned out to be an unbelievable talent, but they wouldn't start the bike race, Phil, if they didn't think they could beat him somehow. And I think today we'll see a major challenge coming from the big sprinters, because their chances of success are running out.
Well, it is a long way, and believe me, it is very, very hot. By far the hottest day of the race so far. Sagan is the only wearer of the leader's yellow jersey, and this is the traditional ceremony each evening when he gets to the finishing line in 1st place. He is building his lead, Paul.
Well, he's got a 30-second advantage, Phil, over all of the pre-race favourites, and I think they'll be starting to wonder how much advantage can we give this man before the upcoming individual time trial.
Let's have a look then. The Cliff Bar yellow jersey standings. Peter Sagan, after 14 hours, only leads Heinrich Hausler, the eternal second this week, by 12 seconds. Jeff Lauder from the United States in 3rd. Freddie Rodriguez, Team Exley 4th. Ben-Jacques Maines in 5th place. These are the race favourites.
15th, Chris Horner looking for 30 seconds. TJ Van Garderen, Tom Danielson and Vincenzo Nibali, but they're all locked in the same time. That's about to change.
Well, those riders trying to keep the powder dry, I think, because it's the big time trial tomorrow in Bakersfield where they could possibly close in on that gap. Let's have a look then at our Visit California race route today. It's going to be a long, hot day in the saddle.
A very long, hot day in the saddle. When you look at that profile as well, it looks like an upturned saw. It'll be up and down for the whole day. But if you want to go through one of the most beautiful parts of California, well, today's the day to do it, because you're right the way through the Yosemite National Park, and of course looming on the horizon on the rider's left-hand shoulders is Sierras. And then the last climb of the day, Crane Valley Road. It's all downhill to the finish, but it's a long way to go.
All right, well, let's have a look at our Rabobank checking the stats, and I can tell you that today, already with about 2 hours to race, 5 riders have abandoned. We now only have 40 of the 45 Americans in the race.
And the last time the race came here was 2009. It was the unbelievable sprinter who won on that occasion, Mark Cavendish.
Yeah, so this year is riding in the Giro d'Italia and has finished 4th on today's stage. We're looking here at Peter Sagan, the man who is so far invincible in this race, wearing that yellow jersey in the centre of the picture. And at the moment, they're combating a breakaway which has been out front since the 22nd mile point. There were 11 riders in it. There are now 10. Carlos Quintero of the Caldersport team from Colombia has either got dropped or given up, but he's gone back to the peloton, having won one of the climbs out there. There's only one climb remaining before we start the steady descent down to Clovis, and they've been absolutely flying all day today, up around 25 miles an hour average speed for the riders. These are all the names in the breakaway. There are 2 Radio Shack riders in this breakaway. Markel Irizar started the day 29 seconds off yellow, and now with a small bonus 26. But you saw there that the peloton have closed right down at one stage 5.5 minutes. It is now almost over, and the Radio Shack have chased them down. Well, they're snapping on their heels, Paul. They've shut down with some tremendous firepower from Team Radio Shack. It's a tactic will confuse many people watching because Radio Shack had 2 riders in the breakaway, but as we've just seen, Jens Voigt has driven this field all together.
Well, Phil, just to explain the tactics a little bit, yes, they did have 2 men in the breakaway, but so too did the riders from Garmin Barracuda. I think one of the reasons is that they want to close this down because they want to try and see if they can put pressure onto Peter Sagan. There's one more climb left on the day. It's a hard climb. It's a 3rd category. Maybe that for them, they're trying to soften the race up.
Well, this is the last climb of the day, and it's going to be met by the whole peloton as we go up this final climb of the day. And then it's basically all downhill. We've said goodbye to the Yosemite National Park on the left shoulder as we look, of the riders rather, and down the edge of the Sierra Nevadas. But now basically it's all downhill to the base ground in the beautiful old town of Clovis here in California. They're not giving up in this breakaway. A lot of work being done by Alex Howes here on the front, and Alex has had a very, very good day today. He's won with the climb, the last climb we had. This is California Highway 49, one of the most famous highways here, designed about 1949. That's where it takes its name from the historic days of this region in California. And Wesley Salzberger of Orica Green Edge in the black top to his jersey there too. Tim Duggan, we've seen a lot of Tim Duggan this week driving at the front. He was in the lime green colours there. He's in the breakaway today for the moment, but it looks as though Jens Voigt and the boys are happy to shut down their own teammates today.
Well, they were put into the breakaway early on because that's a very often known tactic by a lot of bike riders. They want to have a hard race. Let's not forget this has been a very difficult day since the race, since day one. Every stage has been hard. There's been lots of tracing. When you see a man like the guy in second, just in the pale blue jersey there, Tom Boonen, when you see his face grimacing like that, you know that this is a tough day in the saddle. And the reason why Radio Shack Nissan Trek are warming this up like this, Phil, is I think in the back of their minds they're going to try and split the field over this next climb of the day.
And, you know, maybe they don't want to give somebody like Peter Sagan an easy ride today, because tomorrow is the time trial, what we always call the race of truth. The riders go out by themselves to race for a time, and it's the only chance they're going to be rid of Peter Sagan with the freedom to fly and try and get back the time they've lost. There are a lot of riders. 48 riders in this race are blanketed by only 30 seconds overall. So a good ride tomorrow in the time trial by any one of them could alter the situation. 5 kilometers to go up towards the top here of this last climb of the day, the Crane Valley Road. It doesn't look very high, but you know, it's taken us up to nearly 3,700 feet, this road. And as we top out, Paul, we're about 46 miles from the finishing line.
Now that is one thing that could go against the tactic for Radio Shack Nissan Trek here, Phil, because it's a long way to go to the finish. And if they do try and split the field over the top of this climb, they will really have to commit themselves all the way down to the end if they want to get rid of guys like Peter Sagan and, of course, the big sprinter Tom Boonen.
Looking here at the Nissan King of the Mountains leader, and that is Sebastian Salas. He comes from Vancouver in Canada, and an interesting character he is, and the breakaway's been good for him because nobody in front affected the destiny of that jersey. Now this is still Alex Howes here looking over his shoulder, but it looks to me as though we're all going to come together on this climb. We're going to have a new result at the top, and if I was Sebastian Salas, I'd start thinking of moving up now, because it could be a sprint for the King of the Mountain points. And bet your life David Boyer, the erstwhile leader in the Nissan King of the Mountains, will try to go for the points.
Well, they've brought it all back together. A moment of respite before the next few attacks start to operate on the front end of the main field. But all of a sudden, I think they've done what they wanted. They nullified the majority of that breakaway. Guys in a race like this, Phil, they don't mind allowing a breakaway group of 3 or 4 riders to get clear, because they know they've got more chance of pulling them back together at the end. But a breakaway of 10, which in fact in this case was originally 11, is a dangerous thing to do, especially on the eve of an individual time trial.
Yes, well, it is really, really hot now. We've just popped the temperature gauge at 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's still believed to be getting hotter before this day ends. And 90 degrees is around about 34 degrees Celsius. And attacked by Colombia, gone off the front, dancing away to snatch the points at the top. Colombians have been active today. They've had Darwin Atapuma in the breakaway, and he's been cleaning up on some of the climbs too.
Colombia, Col Deportes, they are always aggressive. We saw them, for me, the first time I really saw them race in the United States was last year in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge, and they were extremely aggressive in the mountains. You can see this man here, he's seen the gap, he's seen the possibility of a big passe d'armes, as they like to say in French, a big attack coming on the slopes of the climb. these guys today, they're really trying to toughen the race up. I think they're trying to weaken Peter Sagan, because many of the riders say we don't know yet what this man's limits are going to be. And Peter Sagan at 22 years of age doesn't know his own limits yet.
Well, he sails through the breakaway here, and it is Michael Rodriguez who's put in the pressure. He is a climber. We're hearing from race radio that Ronaldo Nocentini, who wore the yellow jersey in the Tour de France, has now climbed off at the bottom of this climb. So there are, in fact, 6 riders abandoned the race today already. And until now, we'd only lost 5 riders throughout the week.
Well, the man in first position now for the Colombia Col Deportes team, he's not scared of altitude at all, because his hometown is Bogota, Colombia, which is at around about 8,000 feet in altitude. He's only 23 years of age, and I have to tell you what, Phil, he finished 6th place overall in the Tour de l'Avenir. There's a lot of discussion going on here between the Radio Shack rider on the left-hand side and the Garmin Barracuda rider. I'm not really sure what the tactic is here.
Well, I think probably had a word with the back of the race there, George Bennett, who rides number 2 for Radio Shack, and asking whether he should continue the attack now that we've got the Colombian rider has come up. As we're dropping down to the back, Tom Bonan is beginning to struggle here. He was looking, although he was at the front a few moments ago, he will look to be under pressure. And this, we still have 3.5 kilometers to climb here, Paul, so it's not a sure done deal. If he loses much time, he'll get back.
Well, more importantly, Phil, that's probably why we saw that move and that acceleration from Radio Shack Nissan Trek to try and eliminate guys like Tom Bonan. Bonan was grimacing to try and stay at the front end of the main field. He was hoping he could hang on to get over the top of this climb, which is going to come in about 3.5 kilometers to go, with the hope of possibly another victory, a stage victory, when it comes down towards the end.
Well, just the boys really roasting beneath the hot sun just now as we are continuing through. We're on the last official climb of the day, but you know, we've topped out over 14,000 feet of climbing for the riders today, and Tom Bonan has decided that he's done enough climbing today because the heat is having its effect. Another attack here going from the Rabobank team. We've had Wilco Kelderman up there, this great youngster. He's only 20 years of age in the breakaway, new professional for the team. Now we've got another attack going. There's a little replay of the attack for you. And I suspect that that is probably Bram Tankink who's put in a move here as he starts to go clear. Trying to get up to that little breakaway of George Bennett, Tom Peterson and Rodriguez. Everybody, you see, look down the back there, the riders are going off the back, and these constant attacks in the front of the peloton is really putting them under pressure. It's not as if they're celebrating the last climb of the day. Yes, it is the last official climb of the day, but the road will continue for a little while longer. Here's on CA49 before we go down towards the finish in Clovis. I have to say that today this race has really kept the pressure on. Terrific average speed for the riders, 47.7 miles to go. This is where they're racing for today, the beautiful Old Town section of Clovis. In our Sutter home weather, temperatures have just hit 90 degrees. It might get hotter. Light winds in the forecast. Hey, even I could have told them it's going to be sunny all day. There is the leading group then. George Bennett is the rider in the middle. Rodriguez is driving it at the front. The race still very much on today. They are fed up of Peter Sagan winning at the finish, and they're giving him a tough ride today. As we look at Peter Sagan, we'll take a break, but we'll be back for the top of the climb. Welcome back to the Amgen Tour of California today, presented by Amgen Breakaway from Cancer. This is the race situation on the road. 2 riders trying to get clear of the field at the moment. 3 riders, in fact, George Bennett, Tom Peterson and Michael Rodriguez. And then there's 2 riders trying to reach them, have just been joined by David Zabriskie, and they are Michel Charel and Bram Tankink. These are the 3 leaders. The man driving this is the rider from Colombia in the black, and that is Rodriguez. He is a very good climber, and George Bennett is joined in, and I'm pretty sure he got permission off his team car. Now, what has happened here at the back, because this is Yannick Eisen. Eisen was in the breakaway today, and I would imagine those legs have just exploded for the 22-year-old. He got into the breakaway all day, and the heat has got to him, I think. So we are hearing that Heinrich Hausler has punctured, but we are also hearing he has rejoined the race. Our cameras can't be everywhere, but we do have the benefit of the race radio from the referees. Well, they're under control. That shot of Yannick Eisen just being pushed by a teammate, which isn't allowed actually, Paul. He's going to probably find, like a lot of these riders who went in that early move now, these last few miles over the next hour and a half, they're going to hurt.
But what it's done, Phil, it's toughened the race up once again. I'm wondering what it's going to be like once we get down to the stages after the individual time trial, because these guys have not had any easy days so far in the Amgen Tour of California. They really have raced hard every day that they've come out of the gap. George Bennett is the best placed rider in the leading group, but there's a rather difficult situation for everybody now, because Dave Zabriskie has managed to get himself into the chase group with Michael Kerel and Bram Tankink. Now that, I think, is a little bit of a surprise. That can't be right, Phil, because Dave Zabriskie is not in that chasing group with 3.
No, I agree. They said his name popped up on our computer. We never actually got a shot of him, so I think that'll disappear. Radio contact with the race today, because of the proximity of the Yosemite National Park and the Sierra Nevadas, has been sketchy to say the least. Anyway, a kilometer from the top of the last official climb of the day. And there is the top as they close right in. Nobody going to challenge. It was Rodriguez who had the strength on the climb, so they're going to let him take the points in the Nissan King of the Mountains competition. And over there in second place, I think it was George Bennett, and Tom Peterson third. Tom Peterson, you may recall, is a former stage winner. He won the second day of this race back in 2009. Still a faithful member of the Garmin team.
Well, I'm making about 11 or 12 seconds for the second group of 3 riders going over the top of the Nissan King of the Mountains point there as they get themselves organized. Bram Tankink is the rider on the back with the orange jersey. Kerel is the rider just in front of him, wearing number 74 for Team AG2R Le Mondial, and they're slowly but surely
and
pulling.
It's in fact Paul, sorry Paul, it's Brian Vanberg. The number was mistaken for Zabriskie, who's got in that chase group, the Danish rider.
The Danish rider is the best placed, the best rider for Team Spider-Tech, and I have to say quite a coup for them. About 45 seconds is the deficit of the main field, and you can see the concern for Brian Vanberg, because Team Liquigas now are doing the pacemaking. They've decided it's time for them to come and put the hammer down and dictate the pace of this race.
Well, there are no more prizes out on course as our camera switched to the tired face here of Tom Bone. He knows now that he's going to have to chase very hard to get back, if he can indeed. He's looking a little bit rubbed out, I think, by the hot weather. These European riders, you know, they've been better with their water wings all last month, because it's had torrential rain almost daily in Europe, and then they come here to California, and this, by far the hottest day of the race, is going to hurt. Now, the merging together of the 6 riders in the lead. This is a very, very good breakaway now. It'll be interesting with all these teams represented, just to see what they do now.
Well, I would think Radio Shack Nissan Trek will start to chase, even though they've got a man in the breakaway. I have to say, it's very dangerous to allow a man like Brian Vanberg some freedom on a stage like this, because he's a very seasoned individual time trialist. He's only 30 seconds off the overall standings at the start of the day, as too is the Frenchman Michael Kerel. Those 2 riders are the best place overall, so pressure will still remain on this peloton. Now, this is the Tom Bonen group, and he has found himself, Phil, the clock is still running, and I would expect it to be 2 minutes and about 15 seconds. So Bonen's lost a good 1.5 minutes on the peloton.
Well, that's really tough to bridge that gap. We haven't had any visions of Robin McEwen today. Maybe he's managed to grit his teeth and hang on in there. Who knows? But Michael Kerel here, that's an interesting one, Paul, because he was in the breakaway all day and he's gone again. As we're now watching here, the working group coming back together again. These are the leaders. We are 6 together. We are 74.5 kilometers from the finish. So while these riders sort themselves out, it's time for us then, we can check in with today's Nissan Innovation for All.
I'm Rob Davis, and for the last 8 years I've worked as a video producer inside the world of professional cycling. And today I'd like to take the viewers for a first-hand look inside the car of Team Radio Shack Nissan Trek race director Jose Acevedo. What happens here in the car is actually where race strategy unfolds. You'll see the director on radio. You'll hear him listening to calls for service or for rider down. Really, once the race gets started, this is where the director has his whole command central to develop strategy for the riders. It's interesting because being inside the car, you not only have to be on the radio, you have to be reading maps, you're handing bottles to the riders, but you're also driving. So you have to be an excellent driver and excellent multitasker to do the job of the race director.
Well, that's our Nissan innovation for all. That's the busiest car in the world, I can tell you. A team car in an international bike race. Tim Duggan, who's been away, he's just gone off our camera to the right there, has been in the breakaway all day. Now he's come back to do the work for his team leader, Peter Sagan. There he is, dead center now in his lime green top. He has proven to be an incredible bike rider this week, and he comes from Boulder, Colorado. I think you deserve that drink, Tim. Meanwhile, this breakaway now of George Bennett, Thomas Peterson, Michael Rodriguez, Bram Tankink, Mikael Kerel and Brian Van Borg. They are the 6 boys. They're pushing it out. The last time check is 3/4 of a minute. As we swing back to the bunch, Andrew Talansky here in our picture. He's being talked about for the time trial tomorrow. Oh boy, even in the commentary box, that looks very welcoming. Can you imagine what it looks out there? It looks like a cold sponge of water ready for the back of someone's neck. And it's probably actually going to be handed out to Andrew Talansky. The last climb of the day, 6 points has gone to Rodriguez, 5 to Bennett and 4 to Peterson. All good news for the current Nissan King of the Mountains leader, because Sebastian Salas will win that polka dot jersey again tonight. There we are. Andrew Talansky gets the ice in the bag, down his back. How welcome is that? And I think we're looking there at Nathan Haas as well, picking up the bags too. Now this is a sprint back here just for the moment by Martin Jalingi. Ted King has got himself back on the front. The 2 Americans on the Liquigas Cannondale team doing a lion's share of the donkey work here out on course, in the hope that once again their team captain Peter Sagan will sweep everything before him when he gets down to the finish in Clovis. But they're going to have to worry a little bit about this breakaway because we have some good riders up there. Brian Van Berg only 30 seconds off the pace, so too Mikael Kerel, but you know he must be tired. He's been away all day in the original break. Anyway, soon the Sierras will be behind and the finish line will be just in front. So we're looking out across the wooded area here of the Sierra Nevadas as we start to fall away now. Now take a look at this. It took the leaders, the breakaway of 6, 11 minutes and 3 seconds to climb. It took the peloton 44 seconds more. And the average speed, there it is for you to see, 12.5 miles an hour for the leaders. Now 349 watts they've been burning up front. And to put that a little bit in perspective, if you went down to the gym and lifted a few weights, you might lift about 200 watts of power going out. So under the sun today, it's going to be hurting all day. Here we are, a nice compact group, and I have to say, 4 days in, this is a serious breakaway. These riders are very, very good, especially Brian Van Borg, who is from Team Spider Tech, but he is a Danish rider. He's got up to this breakaway. He is only 30 seconds behind overall, so it's a big danger. There he is, 30 seconds off the lead. Sat at the back at the moment is the Radio Shack American, George Bennett. He's 54 seconds behind, and he's not an American. He is from New Zealand. 45 seconds off the pivot, 54 seconds off the base. That's where we are now, slowly descending away from the pine-wooded area down into the flatter farmlands. Just grabbing bottles at the moment. Number 1 there, that's Chris Horner, the defending champion. He's been back to the team car, gathered all those cold water bottles, put them down his racing colours, and now searching out his teammates and passing them out to his mates. So he's finding time to be a rather super domestique while the race gets on with the chase back. And not surprisingly, it is the men from Nissan doing the chase back. All right, well, let's have a look then at one of our Cliff Bar moments at the Amgen Tour of California, which is brought to you by the technology of GoPro cameras inside the peloton. Little bit of a look around the festivities here. The signing on, the fun and games has all happened yesterday. Oh, I've just seen the GoPro camera as the riders start the rollout here. beneath these beautiful blue skies. This is the bird's eye view as the riders, it's a full day in action for a professional cyclist, isn't it? The fans on Mont Diablo yesterday waving to the riders who are giving it, and down at the end, a familiar sight, Peter Sagan winning, and then look at the massive crowd. That fifth bar moment was brought to you by GoPro cameras. GoPro in HD for the Amgen Tour of California. This is the breakaway. Behind is the peloton. They're closing in. Well, it looks, Paul, as though they couldn't resist the chase back. It's the boys on the front from Liquigas. Luke, as though they're working doubly hard now to nip this breakaway in the bud.
Well, Ted King is the man doing the pacemaking, giving Tim Duggan a little bit of a break for the day. I have to say, Tim Duggan, Phil, he was in the breakaway early on. He's sitting in third position in those riders there with the lime green jersey. These two American guys on the Liquigas squad have been unbelievable in the work that they've dedicated. I think the presence of Brian Van Boer, Bram Tankink in this breakaway made the main field think, we can't let them have too much of an advantage. Let's close it down quickly.
Yes, two well-known European top professionals, Tour de France riders. They're serious and they can't give them an advantage. Remember, tomorrow is the time trial in Bakersfield. It's a nice time trial. It's flat and there's easy to wipe out the advantage here of Peter Sagan and all of the others. There will be big time gaps at some stage tomorrow.
There will be big time gaps because, you know, the race of truth, the individual time trial, there's guys like most of the top contenders, Phil, before the start of this race, they haven't put a foot wrong so far. They've been waiting for the final half of this race. You know, Tom Danielson, Chris Horner, Andrew Talansky, they're all in this group and they're all back together now as we see the catch has been made. And I think it is really because of the presence of Van Borg in that breakaway that they nailed it down, because the guys from Liquigas know him exceptionally well.
So 40 miles to go and we are all together. That's about 61 kilometers. And as we look at the switching around, job done. Little congratulations there from the teams. Now who we going to control next? That was Peter Sagan there having a chat with the team and saying thank you very much, boys, good job, all back in the camp together. Looking out across there, this is the beauty here of Visit California. So let's have a look then. The 400-mile-long Central Valley is home to two wetland wildlife refuges, which makes for excellent bird watching and easy hikes. The region's many rivers and lakes offer fishing, boating and whitewater rafting. Lesser traveled roads are great for biking through the countryside. The Pacific Crest Trail offers the best of the West. The Mojave Desert, the Sierra Nevada, Mount Whitney, Yosemite National Park, Marble Mountain, the Russian Wilderness and the volcanoes of Mount Shasta. It boasts the greatest elevation changes of any of America's national scenic trails. 2,650 miles, in fact. And I'll tell you what, today these boys have now officially climbed 14,614 feet. We'll take a break. It's time they had a rest. We'll take one. See you in a moment. Welcome back as we rejoin the action. There's a look at the new 2013 Nissan Altima pace car leading the peloton, the most innovative Altima ever, by the way, or as perhaps the American might say, innovative. You have to excuse the English pronunciation sometimes. As we're looking here now at the main field, and there's our GoPro camera too. Can't get a better position than that, can you? There's nothing, no one can hide these days, can they? And just coming up and snatching a drink there too is the Orico Green Edge rider. That is Wesley Sulzberger. He had a good day yesterday, a top 10 finish in the sprint. He was in the long breakaway today, which was caught just as we came on air. They've been out front all day as well. And so let's remind ourselves then about the big jersey wearers now as we take a look at the monster cable jersey wearers. Peter Sagan, the only man to wear the Amgen yellow so far. He also has the Visit California sprints, and he also has the Rabobank Best Young Rider on the bottom right, while Sebastian Salas is hanging on to Nissan King of the Mountains. The other two jerseys which aren't worn, the XUD Most Aggressive Rider went to Jeremy Fidel yesterday from the Bristol team, and the Most Courageous Rider, Amgen Breakaway from Cancer, was won by Wilson Marentis yesterday. Both of those two guys trying to win together, but they got swept up near the finish. The field now having a little bit respite at last. Well, the sun is coming in from the left-hand side of the picture as we look at the riders. It is just beginning to tip downwards a little bit because it's just turned 2:30 here in California.
Well, Phil, now as they start to slow down a fraction, there's Peter Sagan in the yellow jersey, the man who has been indomitable in this event so far. Nice little smile, but he knows what is looming on the horizon. He knows he's got the individual time trial coming up. He knows he's got the big mountain passes of Big Bear and Mount Baldy looming up before we get down to Los Angeles, and he knows he will very shortly get challenged in his overall lead.
So as we come back to the team car, a little bit of a problem, or just more water required here. And this is for Irizar, who was winner of the first sprint today and got himself a 3-second time bonus in the breakaway. And if he can hang on to this bunch, he's going to be a lot higher up the overall classification tonight. He's only 23 seconds off the maillot jaune of Peter Sagan. So he started the day 26 seconds off, but he did win a 3-second time bonus. So as we look at a general coming together here, let's have a look now at two of the best new American riders on Radio Shack Nissan. And let's have a look at Matthew Boucher, presented by Nissan and Ben King. Well, the enthusiasm of Ben King never fails to please Paul. He just loves to spread that USA Champions jersey on Californian roads.
Getting to wear that custom jersey, you know, representing the United States as a champion in the Tour of California, couldn't have gone any better for our team or for me personally.
This is amazing to see the work that's being done on the front here by Matty Boucher.
Suffering for my teammates is something I want to do, especially at this point in my career.
Cycling is a team sport. A lot of people don't realize how much the other riders on a team sacrifice for the one guy to win a race. And, you know, to ride and sacrifice myself during the Tour of California for a guy like Chris Horner is extremely rewarding.
Boucher will do everything until he can do no more.
I was just so focused, and it was an honor, and it was probably painful. I don't remember very much, but maybe your body's good at blocking out pain when it needs to.
2 on salute from Levi, the same from Chris Horner, a 1-2 for Radio Shack.
And maybe at some point then I will be them, and somebody in my position will work for me.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2011 U.S. Pro Cycling Championships.
That was a crazy day. The one thing I said before the race was I wasn't going to go to a sprint with George.
As Boucher comes around, he doesn't have enough for him. It's going to be a very close finish, too close to call.
I had no idea who had won at the finish, and so it was an anxious few minutes after the race.
And it is the youngster, Matthew Boucher, who will be your 2011 U.S. Pro Champion.
I knew going in that I was strong. I had good training and good cooking from Ben King's mom.
Before he won at the U.S. Pro Championships and took over the jersey from me, he and his wife spent a week at my house in Virginia, and we got to train together, and that's when I really got to know him a little bit better.
Yeah, I think when I look back on everything, and especially looking back now in 2011, or especially the month of May, I feel good about it.
Yes, our two Nissan American young riders there, the latest 2 national champions. They're friends as well, and they're on the same team. And remember, their job here is to see Chris Horner wins this race by Sunday outside LA Live. Well, they are really two personable young men, and they've won the national championship of their country in the last 2 years. So well done. Boucher is the current wearer of the Stars and Stripes, and we've seen plenty of him. But those are 2 guys we're going to see a lot of over the remaining half of this race as we go down towards Los Angeles. We've now set course for the south as we're heading down today to Clovis on the longest stage of the Amgen Tour of California. Welcome back, and don't forget, tomorrow the Epic Cycle Series continues with Stage 5 of the Amgen Tour of California, presented by Breakaway from Cancer today. It's the individual time trial in Bakersfield, 18.4 miles of racing alone against the watch. And note the time, by the way, a different time, 2:30, 4:30 Eastern on NBC Sports. This is the longest stage today, Stage 4, presented by Amgen Breakaway from Cancer, as we head now towards the finish. So the riders continuing here, all under the impetus of the Cannondale, Liquigas Cannondale squad. Making our way off these slopes here, and this is pretty typical when you have the race leader on your team. 82% of the driving now being done by Liquigas Cannondale. But remember, it was the Radio Shack team who chased down that big breakaway, and now they can't be seen near the front of the peloton, so they clearly have a plan. There's the peloton. You can tell by when the back end gets a little bit ragged like this, the riders are preoccupied. They're looking for the team cars behind. They want drinks. As we look at riders here, I don't know whether he's waving to the cameras or he's got a bit of rain on that side of the road. But this here now is a little panel of the peloton. And back to the front. There we are. Radio Shack creeping up on the outside. So the Orica Green Edge team, the riders in the centre there, in the lime green jerseys. With Jayco on the backs. Well, the man who owns Jayco is their main sponsor, Jerry Ryan, and he's coming to California from Australia to see this team ride the last 3 days of the event. We can tell you a little bit more too about their bikes, and here's Bob Roll to tell us more.
I'm here with Adrian Montgomery, the PR manager of Scott Bicycles, the bike sponsor of the Orica Green Edge team, the team of Robbie McEwen and Luke Dubridge. Robbie McEwen, by the way, making his last professional race here at the Amgen Tour of California. What machine will the guys be using in this week's race?
Well, the team's racing on the foil Aero Road, and Aero Road's a new category of bike that is very different from the round tube bikes the rest of the peloton's using. So if you're on an Aero Road bike, you can save about 5% of energy over the course of a stage. It's enough to break away, slip away from the pack. And the frame weighs 840 grams, which is about the weight of 3 rolls of pennies or a dozen glazed donuts, whichever you prefer.
A dozen glazed donuts or a stage win? Which is tastier?
We'll go for the stage win, thanks.
All right, well, best of luck this week.
Thanks, Bob.
Yes, and the Orica Green Edge team still hunting for that stage win. They've got a couple of sprinters on their squad, but so far one man has eclipsed everybody, hasn't he? So Peter Sagan, and it's his team driving here, the Liquigas Cannondale Boyle. We're off the heights of the day now, having climbed today 15,206 feet. We're now dropping down a little bit steadily all the way to ground level in Clovis. Well, the sun is now burning right down here on the backs of the riders. Stunning scenery all around them, but the roads are becoming kinder as they go. Over 15,000 feet they have climbed now. The Rabobank boys, they want to win as well. They've had many in the breakaways, but nothing coming their way just yet.
Well, I have to say, hats off to Tom Bone. And talking about sprinters, just on the far side there, number 44 with a bandaged elbow. He has also managed to survive on this mountainous day. So the sprinters, despite dragging themselves over those mountains, Phil, they've had the courage to get themselves back into this bike race, because for them, it's the last chance of victory, as far as I'm concerned, for a sprinter until LA.
That's right, number 44, there's Michael Matthews, who is an Australian, but he's on the Dutch Rabobank team, former under-23 World Road Racing champion, and now really warming to the occasion. He's been a winner this year, and well, he thought he might have been a winner on day one until he fell off in a rather ugly-looking pile-up, which was just short of the finish by a couple of kilometres. Wasn't to be. And we'll see how he goes today. I think he might have a go if he gets down to the finish in Clovis, Paul.
He certainly will. All of the big sprinters have managed to drag themselves over the mountainous. To me, that's really, although we've never really been to the high spots, 15,000 feet or 5,000 meters of climbing is an awful lot to put in one day, and that's just a reflection of how difficult today's stage has been. But the sprinters have actually managed to survive.
Yeah. Just look at this now as the riders continue to just take drinks. Let's have a look at the Road ID fan predictions. 27.8%. Oh, you're really good now. You're telling us that Peter Sagan might win the stage. 12.6 go for Chris Horn. I don't know why, he's not a sprinter. 12.5% for Tom Bone, and I'd have put him up in Chris's place, and the rest of the field anybody for 47.7%. Don't forget to enter your pick for tomorrow's stage and a chance to win $1,000. Head on over to roadid.com/ride. Yes, who's going to win the time trial tomorrow? That won't be easy. As the riders here now continue to enjoy the warm sunny weather, the pressure's off, the battle of the mountains for the day has gone. This man with the stripes is one of the race referees. If he was doing this job in Africa, he'd probably be shot. I think he was a zebra as he walks up to the rear of the peloton. I think the riders have the right to shut down just for a little while here, because they've had a tremendous day of racing on what is the longest stage of the race today. A massive stage for the riders of 130 miles they've covered today, or will have done when they get down. and our ever faithful man Tim Duggan from Boulder, Colorado, right on. Now, this is Heinrich Hausler sitting at the back. He's probably gone to the back to have a little word with himself as to how can he convert 3 seconds into victory. Thank you, Heinrich. He's comes from Inverell, which is a couple of hours drive out west from Sydney. For a while he was German because he had German parentage, but really I know the people in Inverell. It's a small town. They wanted him back. He's their big superstar over there in Australia, so he's actually now a full national in Australia, and that's where he sits. And so he's riding for the Orica Green. He's riding, I beg your pardon, he's an Australian, but he rides for Garmin Barracuda here, and he's looking for that win. It might come today for him. You never know. We'll take another break as we inch closer to the finish in Clovis. Welcome back to the Amgen Tour of California. We're looking here at Tim Duggan here. He's been the absolute workhorse every day for the Liquigas Cannondale. He was even in the breakaway all over the hills this morning, and now there he is still at the front. So I think we can hear more about him now because Bob Roll was chatting to him at the start today.
Tim, you've been doing a tremendous amount of work for the team in the last couple of stages. How gratifying is it to see your teammate win after all of that hard work?
No, it's pretty cool. You know, 3 in a row to start off the week here at the Amgen Tour is spectacular, and it's kind of the momentum we're building within the Liquigas Cannondale team. It's kind of only getting easier every day. So yeah, we're working hard, but we know Peter can finish it off in the last few hundred meters, and it's been working out really well for us.
And what's the mindset when you're sacrificing your own chances to work for a teammate?
Yeah, I mean that's the way cycling is. You know, even though there's 200 guys out there and everybody's kind of individual, it's still very much a team sport, and to pull off some big victories, the other 7 guys have to sacrifice everything for the one. And I think that's certainly been evident for the Liquigas Cannondale squad in the last few days.
A very tough stage today. What's the team plan in defending the yellow jersey and maybe giving Peter another chance for a stage win?
Yeah, you know, it's a similar stage to the last 3 with a bunch of pretty solid hills in the end, but today's longer and hotter. And you know, we're stage 4 of the tour, and guys are starting to get a little tired. So we'll see who's got the good legs today.
All right, best of luck.
Thanks, Bob.
Yes, well, certainly Tim is not getting tired, is he? He's riding like 10 men at the front, and I have to say that he will be sharing in the prize. In professional cycling, they always share the prize money on the team. It doesn't matter who wins. And the prize, by the way, for winning a stage is $4,700. And Sagan has won 3 of those for his team in 3 days. So stunning scenery as our helicopters pick up the riders now. You can see clearly the pace has thinned down a bit. Riders continually dropping back to their cars. They know the calm before the storm now, because as they start to close in, some 28 miles, 45 kilometers to go, the pace will gradually creep up now, and then the big teams with the sprinters will start to think, now how do we beat Peter Sagan today?
Well, that's the big question. 1 or 2 riders, including Heinrich Hausler, have tried. First of all, Heinrich Hausler tried to get the jump on him first of all, and you know, he's just so attentive. He's all over this bike race. He was very alert, sitting at the front end of the main field. I think the only way to beat him is to, for example, for a team like Omega Pharma Quickstep, to get a big long line out for Tom Bonen. Bonen is a powerful sprinter, not a rapid sprinter in the last few meters like a Mark Cavendish, for example. So they will try and get Bonen into a good position to lead the sprint out first, and then maybe hold off the last minute comeback by Sagan.
Well, watch out for this man, Andrew Talansky there, freewheeling and tightening up his straps. Well, they're not straps these days. That's a sign of age when I say that. They're cleats these days. And he is a man we expect a big time trial out tomorrow and could be a contender going into the last weekend. So as they continue down now this is one cool app, so sign up now for the Radio Shack Tour Tracker and follow the race from start to finish, including text updates, rider location, speed, distance, breaks, and 2 hours of live video every day. And I do believe you can hear our commentary as well on that app, so enjoy that as we're looking back at the peloton now, happily freewheeling and keeping things just nicely up together as the riders continue to freewheel down. I think it was by team, might have been Tim Rowe on the front there just for the moment of Team BMC. Speed limit of 25 miles an hour. That's probably why they've slowed down. because I think we're heading to the kids are about, because I think we're about to see the cheers here. I thought I caught a glimpse from the back of that camera. So the Amgen Tour of California just hit town. The kids have got time out here to cheer the riders through. There they are. Then they can run back inside, watch the television and see who wins the stage down in Clovis. See you back shortly. Well, let's have a look then at the USA Cycling American standings, and Jeff Lowder's gone top dog here now in third place, 24 seconds off the yellow jersey. Fred Rodriguez is fourth, Ben Jacquemains is in fifth, Lawson Craddock 10th, and George Hincapie, Evergreen George, up there in 13th place, just half a minute. Good time trial from these riders tomorrow. Could see them in yellow. You never know, do you? As we get back to the action, it's status quo at the front. The man in yellow, Peter Sagan, just in amongst his own teammates, being kept clear of any problems and being led gently but surely towards the finish in Clovis, when he will look like he's been fired from a cannon again as he goes for win number 4 in as many days. We will see. Switching down to the head of the race now. It looks as though we're getting a serious sprint going now. It looks as though the boys are getting themselves warmed up as we're getting down towards the finish. Still a little way to go, but now we're getting into the pasture lands here and the very, very parched already countryside as we race down towards Clovis itself. Well, I don't know what somebody said, Paul, but it looks to me as though they're now turning those pedals in anger again. It's no good taking Sagan for an easy ride down to the finish, though they're going to have to lift this pace and try and hurt the team on the run-in.
Yeah, they will. Strangely enough, you know, Peter Sagan is one of 3 brothers and sisters. 3 brothers and a sister, and his brother actually races for Team Liquigas Cannondale as well, with a lot of people actually saying, Phil, that his brother is going to be even better than he is.
Okay, well, as we're looking, yes, and his brother's reported, his younger brother, by the way, is said to be even better than Sagan, so that's bad news for the peloton. Now, we are hearing now that the race referees are cancelling the fact that the Ronaldo Nocentini is abandoned, as I told you earlier, but he is a long, long way behind the race, so still stands a risk of being eliminated, but he hasn't given up. I really did think that was quite a surprise to come all this way. He's a very good rider. He's probably suffered in the sun. It won't be a good sign that the race has started to go well here now, because there is a time limit as ever. Today, because it's such a long way, the time limit is 12% of the winner's time. So we're going to be out nearly 6 hours today.
Well, I would say 5.5 hours will be the length of the time, and so you've got to keep riding hard, especially in the back. And Ronaldo Nocentini, let's not forget, is no young amateur. He's a guy who wore the yellow jersey in the Tour de France for a long time, and so he will not be happy to be in the position that he's in currently.
Well, 12 minutes is 12% is about 19-20 minutes. We won't know till we see the time. The workload today has been largely done since the captures by the Liquigas Cannondale. We're giving them 47%. Rabobank, BMC and Amiga Pharma Quick-Step are on the front just now. They've got 8% of the workload, but that's going to go up now as they race down through the S's here. Fabulous roads now. The boys are going to be feeling quite happy again now. This road descending to almost sea level as they run down towards Clovis. And so Omega Pharma Quick-Step on the front at the moment. As let's have a look then now at our Tour Insider powered by SRAM.
Welcome to the Tour Insider, powered by SRAM. I'm Dave Toll with Michael Zellman. We're here at the start of Stage 4 of the Amgen Tour of California in Sonora. And Michael had an opportunity to talk to the man who's been making this race, Peter Sagan.
And Dave, the Liquigas Cannondale rider, talked to us specifically about his SRAM Red 2012 componentry. Perfect ergonomic position on the levers, powerful braking, as well as fast shifting. He also mentions his Speedplay Team Green Zero pedals.
New SRAM Red group is better because have fasting, shifting, better control with the new brake in the descent.
Thanks for joining us on the Tour Insider,
powered by SRAM.
Yeah, it's good to see Peter Sagan there. His English is improving with every day he rides the Amgen Tour of California. He holds the record for 6 stage wins historically now in this event. Nobody's won that many throughout time, as we're back with the riders here. A bit of speed, and look at the length of that now. You need binoculars if you're sat at the back here to see you setting the pace up there at the front, as we just watch here behind the Colombian rider. And there you can see some of the gear mechanisms, and it's Omega Pharma Quickstep, the team of Levi Leipheimer. And by talking to Levi Leipheimer, 3 times winner of this race, coming to this only 5 weeks after severely breaking his leg, and we haven't seen anything of him, but he hasn't lost time either. And so I reckon that Levi might be a force to be reckoned with in the time. So let's remind you then of the 95th edition of the Giro d'Italia, which is being run concurrently at the moment with this event. You can see it on Universal Sports, and daily live coverage begins at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, only on Universal Sports. And I can tell you today that Roberto Ferrari won a group sprint. There was a crash again, and 1 man involved and delayed when he lost his teammate was Mark Cavendish. He only finished in 4th place. No change overall there, and so far no change overall here. Same leader throughout. So 3 stages, 1 winner, Peter Sagan, as the race now winds its way down to Clovis. We're closing in. Well, there's the empty podium, but who will be stepping up there? It's been reserved exclusively for the last 3 days for Peter Sagan. And the boys are getting a little tired of paying homage to the champion of Slovakia. TJ Van Garderen, a little concerned he's lost a couple of teammates he might need when we get down to the mountains. But TJ so far has made no mistakes himself. Still very much a favourite to win this race. Let's find out a little bit more, because Bob Roll spoke to him at the start this morning.
TJ, first of all, how's the Amgen Tour of California gone so far?
It's gone well. I mean, I've stayed out of trouble, avoided all the crashes. I mean, it's a bit of a bummer to lose both of the Steves, but so that might take us down a notch when we go into the mountains. But you know, the morale's still high and still sitting on good time.
Today looks to be a really challenging profile and probably very tough for one team to control the proceedings. What's your plan if things start to disintegrate?
Well, today looks like a good day for the breakaway to actually make it to the line, because it's a tough course, so it's going to be tough for teams to control, like you said. And you know, Liquid Gas already has 3 stage wins. I don't know, maybe they're greedy and want to bring it back, but I think they're content just to let it go, and then I don't see another team who really wants to take up reins.
The last time you raced was the Tour of Romandy, right?
Yeah, that was it.
And on the mountain stage, just before the last day's time trial, you had a rather rare accident. Could you explain that real quick?
Yeah, it was just really windy, and just stuff was blowing in the air, and something that was blowing in the air hit me in the face. Yeah, I got a pretty nasty scar on my nose, 4 stitches. And I mean, it wasn't a major setback, but, you know, only missed a couple days of training and a couple days of the race. But, you know, I'm just left with this little reminder.
And you missed out on the last time trial, which is similar to tomorrow's stage. You think that'll affect you tomorrow? You haven't had a time trial for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I train a lot on the time trial bike. I mean, who knows what effect it can have, but, you know, I'm still confident.
All right, TJ, best of luck.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Bob, and well done, TJ. Well, we'll never know how he would have finished that Tour of Romandy, but he was riding extremely well, so it was a very bizarre crash which took him out of that race, but expect to see him in action in the time trial tomorrow. This is the one race he puts a lot of thought into, and he wants to win it. So we haven't even mentioned his name in the race yet, but he hasn't lost any time either. Another glance at our Sutter home. We've now hit what they prophesied. They said 95. We'll settle for 94 degrees Fahrenheit today. Those light winds still blowing. And now it's Omega Pharma Quickstep doing all of the work, taking over at the front. 82% in the last 10 minutes for them.
Before the weekend.
So just looking now, also lining up behind the team of TJ Van Garderen, the BMC squad. They're moving their men forward. They've got a good sprinter on the team, Paul.
Well, they've got Heinrich Hauslip. They're looking that little bit further back. You've got George Hincapie there with the white glasses. He's spending the majority of his time looking after the rider just behind him, and that, of course, TJ Van Garderen. Wouldn't it be nice to take a left-hand turn here, Phil, and head over to the reservoir of Millerton Lake?
Yes, it would, to see the glittering waters there. There's a few lakes high up in the mountains. We're now putting all of the Sierras behind us in the Yosemite National Park as we race down to Clovis. 130 miles, or if you prefer in kilometers, 210 kilometers, the riders today. All of the challenges behind. And this was the one day I think most of the riders felt would be a group sprint. It didn't look like for a while, but now we're on the flat roads. It is now a real fast running. They should keep their fast schedule now. Meanwhile, back at the car here, Gregory Rast has gone back to the car. Taking a long time to pick that bottle up, wasn't it?
Well, that's what you call the elastic bottle, by the way, Phil.
Okay.
It's known as a professional foul. You hang on to that bottle for as long as you can, and it gives you a little bit of respite. It's a professional foul, and he won't be punished, I don't think, by the race referees for doing that. They know he's trying to take on board as many drinks and food as possible for the team. He's one of the big teammates for Chris Horner, who will come out to play tomorrow. Former Swiss national champion, big strong bike rider who's been part of this Radio Shack squad for a number of years.
Yes, and by the way, as you all know, when you're carrying 22 ounces of water and you've got about 9 bottles in there, it's pretty heavy, and he'll be glad to distribute those to all his teammates as fast as possible.
Yeah, so I wonder what everyone is thinking about Peter Sagan. You know, it's not a real surprise to anybody of the form that this man has got, because he won 15 races last year around the world. But he started riding a bike at 19 years of age, and he turned up. One of the funny stories about Peter Sagan's youth, Phil, was he turned up to a bike race, and he had to ride a mountain bike race on his sister's bike because he'd sold his old bike by mistake.
Oh boy, that's the sort of thing I'd do. I'd sell both bikes.
There's 31. That's TJ Van Garderen. He really wants to go one better than he did last year in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge. He finished in 3rd place. He's won the best young rider competition in all of these races that he participated in, but now he wants to make a name for himself at his own right.
And he's very likely to start laying the foundations tomorrow. He's lost, as he says, the 2 Steves in the event so far. They've both his 2 teammates have abandoned the race today. Not today. Steve Cummings and Steve Malavito, they abandoned a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, Cummings crashed and injured a wrist he'd already broken previously, and he might need those boys on Burr Mountain, Burr Lake or Mount Baldy, because he'll be wanting to try and loosen the grip a bit of Chris Horner, I think, if those other men were projecting as the race favourites, which they are. Now, Parge territory behind. The boys will make a left-hand turn here. Gives you some idea of how well these roads are closed by the highway patrol.
Well, just a little bit of information on the rules and regulations about taking on board drinks and food in a bike race like this. Normally, after the races covers 50 kilometers, the race referees allow you to go back to the team car and take on as much liquid as possible. And that normally stops at 20 kilometers to go, unless in extenuating circumstances the race referees feel it is too hot. And today, in fact, they've extended it to 15 kilometers to go that the riders are allowed to take on board drinks.
And who said the referees didn't have a heart? But you can see there the shimmering there of the heat, and it's 94 degrees. Now, don't forget, on Sunday, ride the same circuit as the pros. The Nissan Ride Before the Pros will take place in downtown LA at LA Live on Sunday, May 20th. And the time you're all going to turn up, 8 until 9:30. You can ride the same circuit the pros will ride later in the day, and it's free to all participants of all experience levels. That's the Nissan Ride Before the Pros. It'll begin and end at the official start and finish line. And register online at www.amgentorocalifornia.com/Nissan. Now, Tom Bonan, we didn't see it, but has had a flat tyre, and here he comes back. Not entirely the legal way to come back, and if the referees see him, he'll probably get a $75 fine, but if they don't, he'll be back in the race, and that's what he's aiming at. It's František Rabon, the teammate, who is dropping back there to take over the pacemaking. Now, that would be legal if Tom gets in behind František Rabon. Instead, František Rabon decides to get in behind the car. Well, of course, the referees are busy on the course, so they won't be seeing these pictures. So Tom has had a rough ride towards the end of the day today. But if they spot that, I can't believe they won't fine him. But anyway, the race is not on in anger at the moment, but it will be as we head down towards the finish today. A long road ahead. Welcome back. These are the welcoming waters. The riders won't see it. We can. This is the Freon Dam on Milnerton Lake here in California. And as our helicopter flies over the top, he's going to locate the riders heading towards Clovis today on stage 4, presented by Amgen Breakaway for Cancer. The longest day in the Tour of 130, let's add the rest, 0.2 miles. And there they are, speeding down. Nobody in the lead now. Everybody been swept up. And the field more or less all together. Low 6 riders have abandoned the race today, as far as we know. And Rinaldo Nocentini in a bunch of riders quite a long way behind. He's probably the most significant name back there. Well, there's the dam wall on the backs of these riders, as Team BMC for TJ Van Garderen taking closer order at the front.
State.
The riders still content to just continue on. They're 15 miles from the finishing line now, so I can't see this gentle pace lasting much longer. Peter Sagan in the middle, just ferreting around his pockets there to see is there any food left, and he's found something. He's going to share it with his mates by the look of it, as the team keep him protected. Now this is significant, Paul, isn't it? Even though there's 120 odd riders in the race here, the same team always seem to ride around each other.
It's important when you start to get to a position like this, Phil, the teams want to ride close together so they can communicate with each other, and so they can very often as well, when you see a who's leading the race, he'll always have a teammate behind him, because if he has a mechanical incident, he wants to make sure that he can be on hand to help his teammate as quickly as possible. You'll always notice, you can see the red and black jerseys of Team BMC, they're riding together as a block, but it's also a good psychological move as well, because once you're surrounded by your teammates, you feel that little bit stronger.
It's Nathan Haas there in the blue, second in line at the moment, from Garmin Barracuda, making his way now with the top Pro Tour team, having had a sensational season last year. He rode for Genesis in Australia, and he had a wonderful season. He won amongst other races the Japan Cup and the Jayco Sun Tour, and as a result here he is now on one of the world's best teams, and riding very well, I might add too. Just look at the heat shimmering here, and while we're looking at that, I think we can take you back to our story of the day so far. Since we started down in the town of Sonora with the Amgen Breakaway for Cancer sign-in, and he knows exactly where his space is now. He had trouble finding it yesterday, but Peter Sagan signs in along with the other riders of importance, including 3-time winner Levi Leipheimer. Still a big mystery to us. How well is he going with that recently healed broken leg? We'll find out tomorrow in the time trial. And this is our Nissan Leaf Drive Electric to the finish. As always, the car leading the riders out. Neutralised formation till they clear the city limits, and then the racing will begin. Lovely crowd, by the way, here, leaving Sonora and bathed in warm sunshine. Be pretty hot stoking that steam locomotive up in the firebox today, as it was held up for the passage, and then straight away comes an attack. As we were heading over the first climb, which had been won by Sebastian Salas, the bigger cat coming on the second climb of the day, we got ourselves a little group of 11 riders clear of the field today. But there were half a dozen riders within 30 seconds of the first one, so they were going to mark that breakaway. At the top of the first climb, it was Sebastian Salas increasing his lead in the Nissan King of the Mountains. He wasn't in the breakaway that settled in, no. None of the riders affecting his lead. It was Damian Atapuma from Colombia who went over the top. Alongside him was Alex Howes. At the first sprint at Mariposa, it was Marco Irizar. Very important 3-second time bonus for the Radio Shack rider, because he now moved up to just 23 seconds off race lead. Breakaway never was allowed more than about 5.5 minutes. That was Carlos Quintos winning that climb there. And then we moved on to climb number 5. And this time it was Alex Howes himself leading over the top. And then in a flat-out sprint here for the final California, this time Irizar was beaten as the Visit California. That was the second sprint of the day, won by Garmin Barracuda's Alex Howes. Then the breakaway was caught, and then another breakaway started here as 6 riders tried to get together on the last climb of the Crane Valley Road. Martin Rodriguez was the man to win the King of the Mountains points there. And then the chase down, led not surprisingly by the lime green-clad Liquigas Cannondale squad of Peter Sagan. And so we are now all together again, and almost assuredly now, with only 13 miles to go to the finish, we are going to see a group sprint yet again. This is Michael Creed here, who sits overall 87th, 21 minutes back. His job is the water carrier, the gregario of the team. He's been back for Optum, presented by Kelly Benefit Strategies. Now he's going to look for his teammates and distribute the drinks. You're up to date. That is the story so far. The roads are all downhill or flat now, going to Clovis finish. The old town of Clovis is ready as the whole peloton head towards it. Welcome back. You haven't missed anything at all while we've been away. The riders, as you can see from this beautiful Visit California aerial view, are very much all together. They're racing steadily. Racing is in quotations just now because they're just riding towards the finish. They've had a very active day beneath a very hot sun, and now they're waiting for the sprint finish. There's no doubt about that. We are inside the last 20 kilometers of the day, just on 11.5 miles to go. We can see the teams moving forward with the sprinters, but not least this team here. They're looking to bring Greg van Avermaet home today. So the sun almost on top of the riders now as we pass through 3:30 in the afternoon in California. A beautiful warm day. The people who live in this region, well, this is absolutely normal for them. They expect this now to be here for a few months, and already the crops are in many parts of the state here. And the field now repositioning, and a lot of riders will just hold on to their losses because there are pelotons of riders behind the race after the rapid first 4 hours of racing today, and that they will want to try and beat that 12% time limit, which will only be, because of the speed, around about 19 minutes today, the elimination time on the winner. This is TJ Van Garderen, riding his first race since he was knocked off by a tree in the Tour of Romandy in Switzerland, and still ranked amongst the favourites to take control tomorrow in the time trial.
Number 11. This man also thinks that he can win. Tommy Danielson, who for a long time hailed from Durango, Colorado, decided to move down to the mecca of Colorado cycling, and that of course is Boulder, which will be included in the USA Pro Cycling Challenge in the month of August, but at a slightly higher altitude than where we are today.
And as of 2 weeks ago, they're now almost next door neighbours, Tom Danielson and the Bozeman man from Montana, TJ Van Garderen. He's also moved to Boulder, and so they can share the same coffee shops and go training together. But here they're on rival teams and will take each other on for sure on the climb up to Big Bear Lake and on the steeper climb up to Mount Baldy. This man's not even concerned about the 2 days in the mountains yet. He's more concerned about making it 4 wins in 4 days. Peter Sagan is enjoying his Amgen Tour of California. He's now set the current record of stage wins and set that bar at 6 wins historically.
Well, I wonder, when you talk about historically, I wonder if he will have any chance at all, Phil, to enjoy historic downtown Clovis. You know, the Clovis Rodeo has taken place on the last weekend of April every year since 1914. And if you can hang on for 8 seconds, you might just get yourself another win.
Well, maybe they'd like to hang on for 8 seconds at the back wheel of Sagan.
Well, will get themselves organised. But this is an ideal sprint finish today, Phil, for a sprinter, a powerful sprinter. And it is a nice, straight 800-metre crack at the line. The Flamme Rouge, the red kite, is situated just before 2 right-hand bends. And then you've got about an 850-metre crack at the line as the riders go straight down through the middle of Pulaski Avenue.
And there is Robert Kessing, by the way. He's in the centre of the peloton, the man we've talked about in the past. He was 3 times the best young rider winner. He's got old now. He doesn't qualify anymore, but he would like to ride. There he is, having a little chat with the boys in his own language. He wants to do well here. He's made no secret of that, but he hasn't had the opportunity yet. He's waiting for the time trial, and more particularly for the mountains. He's a very good climber.
Well, for him, I would have to say the big day would be Mount Baldy. He seems very happy with the way his Amgen Tour of California has been unfolding so far. as he sits there with his teammates. But he will also be called upon possibly a little bit later on in today's stage to help Michael Matthews get up to the front, because we still have some great sprinters in this bike race. We've been talking about Tom Boner, we've talked about Peter Sagan, but Henrik Hausler, Phil, he's probably wondering what can he do. He's tried every which way possible to get himself the win. Today might come up good.
Yes, well, there's a lot of riders rather hoping that they can win here, especially today, but for the moment there's Rory Southern just passed by. He's the fourth rider back on the right there, craning his neck to see who's on the front. Rory's something of a hero the other day. 2 days ago he crashed. We didn't realize it, but he actually dislocated his finger, and he almost won the stage after that, and then he had to go to the hospital for an x-ray. The race goes on as we close in on Clovis. Now let's go back to the action. We're seeing one lone rider down there, and that is John Clark from Australia, but more importantly from United Healthcare. He has just broken clear, and he was the last Amgen Tour de California for him was in 2009. Didn't finish then, but Jonathan Clark now trying to break clear. He's actually from Australia, but he's very much on the United Healthcare American team. This is how he did it. It's the first show of aggression we've seen in the last few miles of the race, going from a perfect position of 6 or 7 men down the line, nobody reacting from the front. They feel as though they might have him under control. Now let's see what he does about this. He's decided, having checked over his shoulder a number of times, that he may be given his head for a little while at least, so he's getting on with it now. No reaction from the field, all watching him. He's still got a long way to go, and they're well aware of that. But you know, you've got to try something. This might start the reaction from the field, which really picks up the tempo. He actually lives in Asheville in North Carolina now, but he comes from Australia, very much so, and part of this American United Healthcare squad. So as the man from Australia, Paul, but really these days from Asheville, Carolina, and that's pretty close to where George Hincapie comes from, but they're on different teams. And this is really the tempter now, isn't it? What we saw yesterday, to try and tempt the sprinters to start getting their domestiques to lift the pace.
But what it hasn't done is disorganize the front end of the peloton on this occasion. They know that this guy has gone out on the attack. They know he's opened up 100, 150 meters advantage, and they will continue just to keep him locked in there. Nathan Haas has done a lot of hard work, but you can see the faces now, Phil, of the big contenders. Robert Hessing moving to the first 5 or 6 places. Tommy Danielson moving into the first 5 or 6 places, and they are all staying up there because they know very, very shortly the hammer's about to go down.
Racing around the vineyards here. I think the vineyards, yes, they are vineyards, because we also grow plenty of soft fruit and nuts in this region as well as we race towards Clovis. Jonathan Clark getting all of the cheers from just about everybody who lives in the area, because it's not well populated out here as we race downtown towards Clovis, and it's had the effect because now the tempo has been picked up at the front.
No, it certainly is, but it's still the same 2 guys doing the pacemaking on the front end of this main field. And but you can see now that everybody's getting that little bit more nervous. The black and red and blue jerseys there of Radio Nissan Trek, they're keeping Chris Horner to the front of the main field out of any kind of danger.
There's the concentration now on Johnny Clark. If he doesn't look over his shoulder, he just keeps on going, sees what happens. There's the long straight road. That is not a good road to make a breakaway. Now this is happening downtown. This is the Amgen Breakaway Mile, and it's approximately a mile march to celebrate cancer survivors. About 150 community members will participate here and honor and celebrate not only those impacted by cancer, but also the scientific innovations made possible by biotechnology. Back to Johnny Clark, concentrating now as he races towards the line. But he's on a long, long straight road. They're going to see him, and they're going to just hold him there like they're out in the ocean fishing for the riders here, because they're just going to let him run for a while and keep a tight rein on him should he think he's trying to escape the peloton. He would like to see them chase him down, because he has come with good sprinters who could take part at the finish anyway. Well, at least Jonathan Clark getting United Healthcare on television down there. As we pull back, let's see what sort of a lead he's got. Not a lot, is it? Change of direction for the riders, and still keep him. So give him a kilometre or so. They might wind him in, but they're not really intent on catching him. They're more intent on not letting him get away. Sounds a little bit of a contradiction, but they're happy if he sits off the front and sets the pace, takes a little bit of pressure off the main field itself. But I think they're going to creep up on Jonathan very shortly. Well, while his own country of Australia is heading towards their winter, Jonathan Clark here is racing towards the Californian summer. Well, they're fanning out. They're almost apologizing for this catch, I think, Paul, because they're fanning out, looking for volunteers to come and set the pace now.
Well, we're getting closer and closer. I have to say, Phil, this is an ideal finish for the sprinters today. That
it is.
Basically, it's 3 parallel straight lines. They come straight into town, charging down the Clovis Avenue. A quick right-hand bend, followed by another one into Woodworth Avenue, and that's around about 1 kilometre long. And then 2 very sharp right-hand bends, and they can see the finishing line from a long, long way out. It's, again, one of those sprints where you've got to be very careful, because if you start to sprint too soon, somebody like Peter Sagan is just going to come out of your slipstream.
Well, I was wondering if anybody's written on the road, this is not the sprint for Peter Sagan. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, right. Well, because Woodfield Avenue then, or Woodworth Avenue rather, is a long, long straight. So the long straights are always very difficult to judge, because the actual banner in the eyes of the cyclist appears closer than it is as they race for it. If you don't get it inch perfect, then you lose the stage. So we'll look forward to the finish, but for the moment, this field is happy to keep control. Well, they're doing exactly what I thought they would do. They've got him on the end of the huck. They're allowing him to run around the ocean, but they're not allowing him to go anywhere at all. And I think he knows it now, so he's going to sit up and he's going to go back into the pack as we continue past the palm trees there, which are guarding some rather nice grapes ready for the future. We are now at 10 kilometres or just over 6 miles from the finish. Jonathan Clark for United Healthcare is being reeled back in. 1 or 2 riders changing position at the front. So we will assume that the race is now all together. We'll take another break, and we're heading down to the town at the finish, and we're only 6 miles from the line now. Welcome back, everybody. Eyes down now. This is the longest stage of the Amgen Tour of California this year, and it's brought to you by Amgen, breakaway from cancer, and we are now in the last 4.5 miles of racing. The pressure has gone on. We are all together, and we are looking at a lot of work being done now by the French setup and also the Belgian setup of Amigo Pharma Quickstep, the team of Tom Bonen. Can the sprinter get it right? The season's #1 ranked rider with 9 wins, Levi Leipheimer, just peeping into the right of our screen there, also taking part at the front. Bit surprised to see Levi there. As we show you there, that is Peter Sagan being pointed out to you in a very good position. Plenty of time to take out those riders who are in front of him as he approaches the finish. It is a brilliant finish for the sprinters today. The last kilometre is dead straight. It's a difficult sprint to actually judge to perfection. Well, there's no doubt now, Paul, that Amigo Pharma Quickstep, who saw their big sprinter Tom Bonen dropped on the last climb of the day of Crane Valley Road, he came back when the field slowed down. He must have said, I'm feeling good again, because the team are working now to try and guide him through the traffic to victory.
Well, I have a feeling, Phil, that the tactic was, in fact, to leave Stein Vandenberg and Dries Devens behind with Tom Bonen to drag him back into the peloton on the descent. They did that perfectly, and now I think this could well be the best way to try and beat Peter Sagan. They're going to take responsibility. They're going to try and launch Tom Bonen into a long sprint with 300 or 400 meters to go. That's Peter Velits just sitting up there, but there again, once you try to get yourself organized, all of a sudden somebody goes over the top.
Do you notice the speed of the riders looking at each other, and somebody now has tried to lift the pace here and break it, and this is the youngsters, this is the Bontrager team. The average age of these kids are just 20 years of age.
This is Logan Loda who's gone out the front there, and that was a very smart attack. But you see, they've got the attack. They've opened up the gap of 50 or 20 meters, but you can't consolidate, especially at speeds like this. And there's no panic at all on the Omega Quickstep team because they have got to keep themselves, but somebody else has gone over the top. That's Zabriskie.
That is Garmin Barracuda's Dave Zabriskie, the national time trial champion of the United States, going a day early, if you ask me, because he's a favourite for tomorrow's time trial. But he feels he might be able to ride them away in the manner of the great Russian cyclist Vyacheslav Yekimov when he won a stage of the Tour de France a few years ago.
There are not many blokes in the world who are doing what this man is trying to do. This is a two-pronged attack by Garmin Barracuda, because if they don't chase him down, he gets the win. Look at that. That's a replay as we see him at the 5 kilometre to go. He's got a huge gear going in there, and he's got the gap. But what happens as well, Phil, is it takes the responsibility away from Garmin Barracuda for doing the lead-out for Heinrich Hausler. This is a win-win situation.
I think this is probably the tactic of the team here, because what it is doing now, Dave Zabriskie's gone 3 miles to go to the finish. He is going to force the teams of the likes of Tom Bonen and Peter Sagan to chase him. They can't save energy because this man could ride off and hold the peloton at bay. And by doing the chase to catch him, they're giving Heinrich Hausler an easier ride to the finish.
It must be panic. What tactic have we got to adopt right now? Because they know Dave Zabriskie. They would have thought he was going to save a little bit of energy for the individual time trial tomorrow. But no, Zabriskie has gone out, thrown the gauntlet down, and he's trying to set the race up. He's forcing the other guys in this race to chase him down to give Heinrich Hausler, who's finished in 2nd place on 3 days in a row, an easy ride to the finish.
Well, look at this gap now. They've really begun to open. He's actually opening the gap here at the moment, Dave Zabriskie. He is, as I say, the national time trial champion of the USA. The time trial leg of this race is tomorrow in Bakersfield, but he's showing us his skill here, because put him down as a possible favourite tomorrow for the time trial and maybe taking the leader's yellow jersey. But right now he's trying to lay it on a plate for Heinrich Hausler, his teammate, to win the sprint.
And if it was any other bike rider in the world, there's another guy going clear, and that looks to me, if that was Josh Atkins has come out of the pack there, if any other guy in the race had jumped away at 5 kilometres to go, I would have said to you, Phil, no chance at all. But Dave Zabriskie, he could pull this off.
We could, and I'll tell you, what a
He's going to.
Look at the gap he's got now. He's got his bike up to around about 28 miles an hour, and he's locked in there. The peloton are now preoccupied. They've got to catch Zabriskie before they can think of setting up the sprint for their sprinters. So there will be a little bit of a consternation back there in the main field. Look at the movement in the peloton.
I'd use the word panic. Panic on board the express coming into the Clovis historical downtown area now, as all of a sudden, when a man like Dave Zabriskie goes out, and you mentioned Vyacheslav Yekimov is probably one of the only other men in the world who could pull off a stunt like this and survive. Well, Zabriskie has really done a good job. It takes all of the pressure off Garmin Barracuda. Heinrich Hausler in the green jersey will be sitting there in 4th or 5th position, waiting to see whether his teammate gets caught or not. And if he does get caught, he will have had an easy ride up to the land. But what it's done is it confused the lead out of Team Omega Pharma Quickstep. But not now. They're coming back into control. They're trying to calm down the nerves of everybody else in that main field, and they'll try and see if they can just pull back themselves to the back wheel of Dave Zabriskie inside of the last 500 or 600 metres.
2 kilometres we've just gone by now, and Dave Zabriskie looks over his shoulder. Usually not a good sign. It means the legs are now aching. They'll be on fire. The peloton are winding him in slowly, but they're having to use energy to do it. Zabriskie was only 30 seconds off that yellow jersey. He could have got a 10-second win bonus. Then he would have only been 20 seconds off it. He's going to look at the guys now, knowing Dave Zabriskie. There'll be a wry smile on his face, saying, that hurt you boys, didn't it?
It certainly hurt everybody. That's what it looked like briefly at the back. This looks like Gerard Cholek, one of the riders from Omega Quickstep. He's a very fast sprinter himself, but it's not for himself this afternoon. He's trying to make sure he keeps Tom Bonen up at the front. He does not want the riders on the left and right-hand side to come around and swamp his team sprinter, which is why he's keeping the pace nice and high. Bonen is still there in 4th or 5th position in the pale blue jersey, but he's getting swamped over on the left.
Well, this is the difficulty now, because here in the USA, these roads are really wide. They're not like the European narrow approaches. We're under the Kenda, 1 kilometre to go banner now, 1,000 metres to the line, and it's Team Garmin Barracuda, and that's the team of Heinrich Hausler who's on the front.
There's one more corner to go, and these riders are going around it as we speak, and now they're looking up, and if they look up straight in front of them, they'll see the finishing line now. They're looking back. They've got the white jerseys. That's going to be for Marcel Kittel. He's a rapid man. Tom Bonen is still nicely placed in the middle of all of that pack. So too is Fred Rodriguez of Team Exergy. He's in about 4th or 5th, but Bonen has got a good position.
Marcel Kittel is the third man in line here, and it's also Josh Atkins as Team Bontrager who's trying to break in on the action as well. Watch Sagan, dead centre of our picture in the yellow jersey as Rabobank launches Michael Matthews. Matthews is looking for the back wheel of Sagan and has got it here. As they continue to the line now, they're going to break clear. Bonen's on the far right as Sagan hits it with the wheel and Hausler's on his wheel. The top two finishes for the last 3 days. Is he going to do it again? And he's on the line and he gets it. It's impossible. 4 out of 4 for Peter Sagan.
Well, all of the top sprinters in the Amgen Tour of California there, Phil, were on his shoulders. He waited and bided his time. Marcel Kittel, Tom Bonen, Henrik Hausler on the left-hand side, but calmly, well, not that calm, coming up through the middle with power and acceleration. Boom, boom, makes it number 4.
Well, I'm not going to talk about Peter Sagan. I'm going to ask you, Paul, how does Heinrich Hausler feel 4 second places in 4 days?
Well, he did everything. They've tried every which way they can to find the right tactic to blow this guy out of the water. They haven't found it yet, and they're going to have to wait now, Phil, all the way down to LA Live.
And the 10-second win bonus as well, don't forget, which is edging him away for the time trial. This is how he did it.
Had a teammate with him all the time. Look at Tom Bonen there. He's caught in the middle, and on the outside there was a long way out, and he couldn't even see where Heinrich Hausler was. He was locked there onto the wheel of Peter Sagan. This is the moment Bonen was waiting for. He was on the wheel on the left-hand side of Kittel, but as soon as the gap on the door opened, bang, there you can see Peter Sagan going right down through the middle. And as you said, look, Hausler, please, please slow down, slow down. I want to get this win, but no, I'll have to do second again.
Well, absolutely fantastic. Peter Sagan makes it 4. And I think we can show you from the camera here our Coca-Cola results. Sagan, Hausler, Michael Matthews got in 3rd. Michael Friedman of Optum made it 4th. Carlos Alzate of Team Exergy getting there in 5th place. Of course, they're all in the same time because they're all in that big bunch. But Sagan not only has kept his yellow jersey, with his win bonus of 10 seconds, he will have increased his overall lead as well, which is auguring well for him in the time trial tomorrow. He's built all the advantage he can have. So he keeps his yellow jersey tonight, and he keeps it very much intact. 4 wins out of 4 chances. Absolutely unbelievable. Sagan, Hausler, and Michael Matthews, the order over the line today. I can tell you Matthews will feel a little better after that 3rd place podium finish because his confidence was knocked with his crash on day 1. There is Peter Sagan, who's now claiming in history his 7th Amgen Tour of California stage win, and nobody else has done that either. But you know, it is incredible to win 4 stages in a row. And to finish with the same rider in 2nd place, I've got a feeling that is pretty much unprecedented in the world of cycling. Let's have a look then at the overall standings brought to you by Cliff Bar. Sagan is now 16 seconds clear of Heinrich Hausler, 34 over Jeff Lauder, 35 over Haus, and 36 over Rodriguez. It's further down, though, we'll be looking because he's now building a little barrier now over the rest of the men that matter, 40 seconds over most of them. And in the time trial tomorrow, just over 18 miles, he has got a chance. Now, as we say goodbye to with our live coverage, don't forget live coverage of tomorrow's stage, stage 5, continues. Note the special time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And you can also watch stage 4 highlights tonight at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on the NBC Sports Network. Boy, this race is hotting up just like the weather, isn't it? And as Sagan takes it out for the full schedule and race highlights, log on to NBCSports.com. Up next is Game 2 of the NHL Eastern Conference Finals, with the New Jersey Devils taking on the New York Rangers. From here, goodbye.